So welcome everybody to the project group, a peer-to-peer framework for social networks. This is the first meeting, and I will present you the organization and how it will be held. So the only thing that changed from the last project group, this is the second year basically, as you saw in the presentation before. And what changed in contrast to the previous project group is that it's not anymore the distributed framework, but we set it to the peer-to-peer framework to make it clear that there's a peer-to-peer framework and there's a social network, and that will also stay like this. Okay, so I have 7 slides on the introduction. I think you are all familiar with social networks, and they are very prominent nowadays. So what you can do, you have you have your profiles, you can present yourself, you might have then your social links to your friends, or also in companies it's very popular, to your co-workers, and you generate lots of content and put it online, so pictures and data and all what you want to have. Of course, different communication paradigms are applicable, so you can have guestbook or wall, so to have broadcast to inform everybody. You have asynchronous communication, you have synchronous communication, chat, and what's very prominent also, at least in the good ones, is these apps to have this collaborative applications and games, and that it's extendable. And what's coming up nowadays is that you don't, so you have your private and personal online social networks, so that means for your friends, like Facebooks, where you put everybody in your friends list, but what's also coming is this business-oriented online social network, so Xing, okay, that's very similar from like Facebook as well, but only for your business colleagues. But what's also coming is some intranet, so social intranet, that you use the social networks, for example, in the university or in a company to improve the communication between the in the company and in the university, between the users and the people working there. And what's very prominent also with Facebook, so Alexa is a measurement company who checks which websites are most prominent worldwide and how much traffic they generate. And the Facebook's on place number 2 after Google. That amount of users, 850 million. And what's very prominent is they stay around 7 hours online. So they use it for 7 hours in the month December 2011. So this is really the website where most of the time is spent. So I think the second place is only with 1 hour a month. So very lots of time is going to social networks. And like the previous presentation also said, we have some drawbacks. Of course, everything's centralized, and we have to trust the provider. What we don't do with Facebook, so we do not really trust what they do with our data. You cannot delete it, you can only deactivate it, it's said. And single point of failure is an issue. So somebody probably saw this picture that Twitter is not available, or in beginning of March also Facebook was not available in Germany for some hours. And then the question arises, is my data lost, or what will happen? In some countries the problem of censorship arises. So what happens if I post some interesting opinion to my friends and the government is not happy with it? So you could be charged for it, and although you only wanted to contact your friends. And also Facebook defines the ethics. So if you would like to show something personal to your boyfriend or girlfriend, that's not allowed in Facebook, for example. So it's very personal. And so censorship is an issue. And also, typically you have these globally large-scale 850 million networks, but not for 20 or 100, or for the university with 1,000. So for 1,000 users, you don't have really good solutions. But that's also something to address. Okay, I think I don't go into detail what kind of other opportunities for decentralized social networking there are. Of course, what you can do is to host your own online social network with WordPress, for example, as basis. There you still have the centralized point and the same problems. There's also an approach to have private web servers that connect like Web 1.0. So you put a link to your friend's web server, but that's so you still have to trust somebody where you put your data on. I don't go into detail, it's not so relevant. So what we focus on is really to have at the end a full decentralized approach. So to have both the data decentrally stored, so on the user devices, and also the information which data is stored where is also decentralized. So there's no single point like we had with servers or centralized index, but decentralized storage. So everything is decentralized. That's what we go for. And if you look on what it should contain and why it is needed, typically if you look at peer-to-peer, we have basically just two applications nowadays, file sharing and Skype. And there's nothing in between. And file sharing is, okay, you can put your data online and somebody can download it, but you cannot delete. So, I mean, you don't have access control, you don't have personal information, you don't have user-to-user communication. So it's much more than file sharing. And if you look for a Skype, there you have user-to-user communication, but you cannot store data. So they pick all the tricky parts out, and we basically, social networks combine both of it. So both storage for albums and groups and all this profile information is stored, but you also have the user-to-user communication. And of course, lots of requirements come into play. So security is a big issue, which is not handled in file sharing. So I will skip what it's for. So security is important. We will also have an aspect, so that the previous PG did a lot of in this area. So secure communication is already done. That's good. Access control is already done. That's good. And we have also this quality of service monitoring. And what I just want to say, there are worldwide only 3 solutions that are really there in research, at least. There's SafeBook. It's using some unstructured social overlay, so you connect with your friends and they connect with their friends. And there's one other, and there's our solution basically worldwide. And to my opinion, we are the most major one, so we have a very good prototype and others don't have, and there's a really good opportunity to really be first in the world to have a good application that is really used, because currently there is no really peer-to-peer based social network, although many people really would like to have it. Okay, the history. So this is, I think, slide number 6 out of 7. So where this comes from and where this PG is located in. So there has been long time research since 2007, many people working on it. So this will put a larger number on students on it. So many master theses on security, for example, or monitoring came into play. And the idea is, so how it is created, so I'm not sure whether it was clear from the presentation of the previous PG, but what was tried to do is to have basically 3 areas. To have really a peer-to-peer framework that has lots of many nice and useful functionalities, so like storage, messaging, security, caching, multicast, publish, subscribe. And only on top of it, you have these plugins or apps that do the social network. They can be used, be data-centric or user-to-user-centric, but they use the framework. So you have the framework, you have the social network, and then you have a graphical user interface on top of it. So this is basically how it's made up. Yeah, here it's also this is the only technical slide, and I think also the last one on this motivation. So what the current PG basically, so the previous basically contributed, and what we have is exactly this setup. So you have, how was the setup? Yeah, you have first, I just start here. So you have, this is basically the peer-to-peer framework with all this nice peer-to-peer functionalities. So with this distributed data structure, messaging, so this pub/sub and multicast and streaming, it's secure and it's replicated storage and all of it, and testing and monitoring inside, and you have all this the social functionality basically on top of it. So the nice thing is that once you have this, you can create many new functionalities for the social network, like a common calendar, for example, or a common, I don't know, yeah, what to think of, so Twitter or don't know what. So then you just have to think which primitives from the framework do I use to create a new application, and how do I do the graphical user interface. And of course, also there are here and there and everywhere some things to do. So that's why it's easy to have, if you have, how many do we have now? 16. Oh, good. So if you have 16 people, that's easy to handle, because you could have one team of 5 people working here, one team of 5 people working there, and some people working at the graphical user interface and thinking how this can be done. So there will be dynamic groups working on specific tasks on the framework, on the social network level, and in the graphical user interface, so that everywhere the issues can be solved. Ah yeah, this picture just shows that it's all distributed, but I think that was made clear. So the data is not stored at one single node. It's not stored on your device, your profile, not on your friend's device. It's just somewhere in the network, and it's all okay. Okay, and also the graphical user interface was shown, and that was basically also the most critical part in the CeBIT. Everybody liked the idea. They said, let's do it and continue with it. It's really needed, that peer-to-peer-based social network, but the graphical user interface is horrible. That's what they said. I don't know. Okay, so what this PG will aim at, and what was basically also the feedback from the CeBIT that we should take into account, is that we should try to address 2 use cases for the social network. First of all, something like the social internet, like Facebook or StudiVZ or whatever. There is this big social networks, but secure, so because there's no evil centralized organization behind that uses your data, so it's all decentralized, censorship resistant, should be fast, and everything from the feeling like the big ones, but decentralized, secure, and for free. So that's one use case. And the second one is the trend towards this company-based social networks or university-based social networks. The idea is, if you think of University of Paderborn, is if we would have a social network where every student would have his profile, could connect to the groups, chat and whatever, communicate with other students, and you still could have your own shared space to, for example, exchange presentations or exercise sheets or whatever you want to do to exchange with your student mates or with the professor. So you could organize your collaboration in the university and enhance the communication and the knowledge, and that's really also a big issue. And this is not global, but it's more for one specific interest group. It was also said, especially when it's peer-to-peer, we could address NGOs, so non-governmental organizations, or that kind of smaller organizations that want to collaborate and they want to have a tool at hand with which they can communicate and collaborate, which is censorship resistant and cannot be switched off by evil governments. And so these are the big 2 use cases that are basically in the mind. And what's also important, so it's not just to have it in mind, but also to, it's probably very optimistic, but at least to use it also for ourselves, or at least in the end of the PG, to really apply it and to perform this alpha test and beta test. And alpha and beta means, so in alpha test you have it with a controlled group of people you trust, so you give them the software, they should use it. It's probably like it is in the university, you trust the people, they should give you some feedback whether it's good or not. And the beta test is to start some bigger testing in the internet with unknown people, and they could be also malicious and attacking the software, but you want to extend it to, let's say, 1,000 users. So this is basically something that this PG should aim at, and what's also realistic to do. Okay, so this is the motivation and the short information which direction it should go. And now I will present to you, that is basically the several steps. So organization, I will talk a little bit about the membership in the PG, so because this poll issue and how to register, what the time plan is. I will show you some more about the CeBIT and what it means. Probably it's not so clear. How the lectures will take place, and if there's time, also about the seminar. Yeah. Okay, so I have this list of people registered in Paul, and I would like to know whether they are here, and because so this is in Paul registered, 16 people, and I have these 4 people who are not yet there, but I have the So they said they would like to participate, and I would just like to see whether so who is whom and who's missing, and yeah, and if you are not registered, so if you are one of these 4 or you are even not on the list but you would like to participate and you are not in one of the other PGs and want to change quickly, so if you are not registered but you would like to, so write an email to this Joachim Scharfenbaum. So this is the email address, and he's the person responsible for putting you manually in Paul in the PG. And he checks then whether, I think he checks whether you are allowed to be in the PG. So from my side, it's okay. So if you're not in it and you didn't write the email, please do so. And let's go through the list, because I'm really interested who's here and who's not. So probably Payman Alavi, yes, I know you. Lars Prem, I also know. And Jens Janiuk. Aha. Okay. Liu Kangping, yes, I also know you from the exam. Subramanyan, Kudu Vali, Guru Murti. Okay. Good. Alexander Meka. Aha. Okay, good. Eugen Maxin. Aha. You're already in Paul. So, good. Robert Mittendorf. Aha. So I have to ask, so does somebody know something about him? Okay, let's continue with Alexander Morast. Okay. Yeah, Bahare I know. And Shintan. Parek I also know, yeah. Wei Feng Ping. Aha. Anastasia Petkau. I guessed so. Principal Singh Saini. He sent a... Okay. Okay. Dann Marcel Sander. Okay. Bharat Zirur. Okay, good. Hong Ying Sao. Yes. Osama Shehadea. Okay. Okay. Deepak Chandra. No, and Lukman Ahmad. Okay, good. Okay, so then we have 16 people, and I will contact the other ones. What's up? So at least from one I know that he said he cannot come for this first meeting, but the rest I will check. But it's a good team to really reach something in the PG and to probably have a very, very good outcome, also globally visible. So not just in the university, that's anyway, not just at CeBIT, but also to really have something that that can be used globally and is expected globally. Okay, just the next steps. So this is not the last slide. That's just put for some reason here. That's why I will skip it. I think I will come to it later on. So just I want to say the next meeting will be in 1 week exactly at this point, at this time. And at that time I also want to put up a doodle with you to find a date for a new time for the PG. But this week typically all the rooms are reserved and they are not free, and in this week and also to the beginning of the next week some rooms will be available, and also with that some new time slots will be available. Yeah, if you are not in Paul, but obvious, is anybody not has been called previously? No, I think I called everybody. Okay, we will come to that, but so I skipped this slide. Okay, what the time plan is. So the time plan is now we have beginning of April, and we'll have seminars and lectures until the mid of June. Then we will have a kickoff meeting. That means we will meet for 2 days and think intensively what we will do and how we will approach it. So that we have a plan for the remaining time. And then the project phase, probably it will also start earlier. It depends on how we organize the lectures, but at least then the project phase will start. We will have several milestones that should be the symbol for it. That means we will also during the kickoff meeting decide on which goals we want to reach until which time, so that we will have some deadlines with the features at least. And then also then I will try to register us for the CeBIT. So what is the CeBIT? That was, to make it short, that's the world's largest computer fair, IT fair. So it's really the biggest one. I think 4,300 exhibitors and many more. And so that was 2009 where we presented Live Social. And last year, that you know, we were also at the CeBIT. We were at the starting ceremony as well with Angela Merkel and Eric Schmidt from Google. And that's picture I took, and also of her. So I had a good tele-objective to make a picture, but it was quite interesting. And it was really impressive also to hear the people speak. That was very, and especially the Google chairman said, if you look into the future, that was very interesting. So in 5 or 10 years, we will have so much bandwidth at home available that all these resources, basically that's what I took from him, is if we have all this bandwidth to your home PCs, and your home PCs are so powerful, you could really do something with it. And especially there, our P2P based online social network fits very good. And yeah, I think the picture you saw, so most of us were there. That's the stand of the North Rhine-Westphalia. So every country in Germany, so North Rhine-Westphalia, has its own stand, and that's the Paderborn stand. We're the only one presenting from the university. And this is that was the Ministry of Research at that time, not a government is no more. And so all the students were, so really the PG students were at the place and presenting, and that was very interesting. We had nice, we were in the radio, we were in the press. It's a very nice experience for everybody to see that the results are not just put in some dustbin also. So we really I really try to make it visible, the results, and to give you the platform to show what you to show what you reached during PG. Okay, so how does it? So now I will talk about seminar and lecture phase. First I will talk about how it's organized. Okay, our goal, yes. My role, what I do, is basically, so also from the history and the previous PG, I know where the problems are and what needs to be solved. So I define the milestones with you, but basically I tell you during the time where the problems are that needs to be solved. Because for that you need lots of experience, and your role will be to manage and organize yourself that you solve these problems, basically. So I tell you what should come out and how good it should be, so the functional requirements, so what should be the result looking like and how good it should be, and you should solve it then. So that's how research works, and I will help you with it. Of course, I'm not giving you unsolvable issues. It's everything that we will tackle will be solvable. It requires some scientific approach, how to access it, how to see what kind of possible solutions there are. I can help you with it, but basically you will have to organize yourself that these solutions are investigated properly, that they are implemented properly, that it's really done all properly, so that the solutions are really fitting to the problems. Okay, what comes into the game? So, of course, this is a university, you get a grade for it at the end. And what comes into play? So there's a seminar phase. For the lecture, there's no test. There's your activity in the PG, and there's the overall result. It's said that you, of course, need to participate in everything successfully to pass. I think that's clear. What comes into the project result? That means how the overall project succeeds. So how the milestones are reached and how the big goals are basically reached. Then the smaller goals, activity in the PG, that means if we create smaller working groups, how well you participate in that, how well you do your own things basically that you had to do, and how you help also others to make it possible. So how do you do the management that that also others can solve their issues. And in the seminar phase, so it will basically participate of 3 aspects. So first you write a seminar paper, then you review 3 other papers, and then you present your own results. So the idea is that in a seminar you investigate some problem that needs to be solved, you investigate how it could be solved, you write a paper about it, then you submit it. We will have a professional conference system, and then you will also be a reviewer in that conference system and review the work of 3 other people and give them valuable feedback. Then you will be judged on how good your feedback was, or how much effort you put, and the presentation. So that's what all comes together into the assessment of the grade in the PG. So coming to the lectures and the seminars. So the lecture will, seminar first. So everybody gets a topic. That's not surprising. Announcement, I will present you the topics today, but during the week I will put also material on the website, but still I will sketch you which topics we will have. I have 16, so lucky match. Okay, next week it would be good to have a conclusion what you would like to do, so that we can distribute the topics, who is doing what. There are some deadlines I will present soon, and the final presentation of all seminars will be on these 2 days, that I would guess. I wouldn't guess because, so I don't guess, I planned it like that. Okay, and during this time, it's not March, it's April, so during that time until this dates, we will also have weekly meetings, so where I give you a lecture on this, all the elements that you need for to know how peer-to-peer works, how the framework works, what is implemented, so how all this storage and multicast and unicast and streaming and how that all works, so that you understand how the peer-to-peer framework is working and what's the background, the scientific background. Of course, either combined or optionally, what I also would like to introduce is to have this weekly meetings, like the previous PG had, where we can also discuss open questions for the seminars. So if you are stuck somewhere and you have some questions, so that we can discuss. That's of course not with 16 people at once, but probably if you have personal questions for the seminar, we can schedule meetings, or we'll have open hours every day, so that it's not so crowded. Because typically the seminars are very individual. Good. Any questions to this? I think this is straightforward. Which tools will we use? So first of all, a Google Calendar I would like to introduce. That's useful to just organize the meetings, or to where I can present when I have open hours, and you can register for some time, so that it's all organized a bit. So I will also put online when we will have the lectures, which topic, and the deadlines, and if you are not there, so that you can write some absent message, so that it's all summarized and categorized somewhere. And that's why I think I need your Google mail addresses. So if you have one, send it to me. If you don't have one, then I send you an invitation. I don't know how it works. It will work at the end. I mean, you're all doing computer science. What will be also used is EasyChair. This is for seminar papers and review management. That's a real professional conferencing tool. So conferences use it. What's a conference? So you send your paper there, it's reviewed, then you get the feedback whether it's accepted or not. So you will not get a reject, so your paper will be accepted, but we use the nice features for review management, and this it's very useful. This is the address for it. And what I will do is I will use your because the tricky part about it that led to some confusion last time is that the email address that I announced there, that's the one you should log in with. And previously I just used the email addresses from Paul and registered everybody, so he's part of it, and people registered with their Google mail addresses and said, I cannot see my paper, cannot do some reviews. So I will register you with your university addresses that are listed in Paul and send you also an email how to use it. So we will also have some slides on it just to tell you. What you also have is a track that's something that's hosted here from the university. So it's combined with Subversion, so SVN, and there's a wiki with it and a ticketing system for that's useful later for programming. That's also something. And previously in the previous PG, we didn't use Facebook, but we used Twitter. That was also interesting to tell what was currently done and what new observations was made. So if, for example, one of the previous students in a PG said, oh, now I'm progressed with this and that feature and now it's finished, and everybody knew, and it was quite useful. Also there I will send you what is the current tag, I think, where the information is stored. Okay, yeah, that was I was already saying. So next meeting will be next week, same time, same place. And then we will decide on the next room. So and next dates, because current rooms are switching, and next week the rooms are more free, and we can schedule better the place and the time. Do you have some questions until now? So that's at least what I wanted to say for the lectures. So what's coming now? I will talk a bit about the seminar. So the time plan, paper form, how it will look like, seminar topics, and then I will. So there's also some number 4 and 5 at least, where I talk about how the paper and the seminar should look like. So the seminar paper. Okay, then I continue. So the time plan again. Oh no, not again. That's the long time plan now. So very long time plan. What do we have? So first of all, organization announcement. That's what we're currently on. And fixing of next meeting. No, the S should be skipped. Oh, that's already done. So that's a little bit old. So the next meeting will be on 10th of April. So in 1 week. Oh, it's really so. Just ignore this. So the seminar topics I will announce now. I was a little bit. So this slide is a little bit old. So I will announce the seminar topics today, and we will assign it next week, so that you can have time in the meanwhile to think about what you like. And I will also set up a doodle probably, so that you can check what you would like to do, so that the matching is easier. Okay, so 1st of May. That's the first deadline. That is, it's always shortly before midnight. Just if you're wondering why it's not exactly midnight, officially midnight is belonging to 2 dates, so that's not clear. And so that's why it's the minute before that, before midnight. And what you should submit there, also in EasyChair, is the paper structure and literature list. That means you should write first the structure on what you will like to write in the paper, which topics you will cover, how the paper will be structured, so what all of the elements you will include in your paper, and which literature you will consider. The idea is that typically if you submit your final paper and then I find out, oh, you should have considered this and that topic, it's much more work to change because you have already written the text. So if you send me the paper structure in advance, I can tell you much more earlier, without you having more work, that you should consider this topic or ignore that topic, or that you should structure or the arguments in another way, that something else is more important. So that's why on 1st of May, I would like you to submit on the conference system your structure of the paper. And that's also a good opportunity to see how well the conference tool can be used, and whether there are all working fine. Okay, it's roughly 1 month later, so end of May, 29th of May. Also shortly before midnight, it's expected that you submit the paper. And this is also already some important part, so that's not just the test paper, but that should be something that you really say, this is final, and I'm happy with it, and I don't want to change anything more. Still, 3 days later, or I think 5 days later, you will get some reviews on it, and you also have to do, no, sorry, actively you will have to do reviews yourself for 3 other papers. So this is the submission deadline for the seminar reviews. So once you uploaded your paper, all the others will also upload their paper. The next day, I will do the matching, so who will review whose other paper, and that's the time when you should submit the seminar reviews. Okay, then you have 1 more week to really include all the feedback. So that means, and to make the final version, that means camera ready, so that will not be changed anymore. Only 1 more time. So this is basically, the paper is final. Okay, and yes, at these 2 dates, 12th and 13th of June, we will have the seminar talks and discussion. Then we had it, so this is the dates that will be the presentations. And if there's still some feedback, you can include it until that day. But this is final. Good. Yeah, and 2 days later we will have this kickoff meeting where we meet, and we will discuss what will be the focus and what will be the working groups, and how we will structure basically the organization of the project room, the project group, how we will have subgroups and sub-project leaders and all this. So this will require some time, and that will be done on these 2 days. Do you have some question for this complex time plan? Okay, so anyway, I will announce every upcoming deadline individually, and you will know that what you will have to do until that. So this is basically the structure for it. Yeah, how do these seminars look like? Typically, so if you have typical seminars, I'm not sure, but that's at least what I heard, is that you get a paper, you should analyze it, and you should describe it in your words. So this is not how it will be. We will have it like, you don't get 1 paper and a question, but a question. So you get more or less a problem. So we found out that, for example, the overlay used, the strength of the peer is not considered. So all of the peers are treated equally, and that's not good. So there should be a differentiation according to the power of the peers, and you should find out what solutions there are. So you should then actively see how to support the heterogeneity of the nodes, so what solutions exist, what solution types and categories, what is good, what is bad, what is promising, and write a paper about it. Of course, you get some input, so a few papers that you can start with, but the addressing and answering this question, that's basically the issue to solve in the seminar phase. Because there are many open questions that need to be solved, and I cannot tell you this is the right solution, but you should find what is a promising solution. The outcome should be at least 8 pages in that specific LaTeX style. The template is or will be online on the website. It should tell a little bit why the question is important. It should show what kind of solutions they are, and show whether what would be a good solution for the project group. The tools, it should be in LaTeX and BibTeX. Yeah, good. Okay, I would recommend that one to look for further papers, and I would recommend this website. It's basically the database for, I don't know what L stands for, but for publications. So this is basically a very systematic and clean summary of BibTeX entries. That means of these references. So all the references that you find in the internet are typically incomplete. So the names are written not always correct, and sometimes pages are missing and conference names are wrong. And this one is really having a very good database on the proper references. So that should be used. There will be also one slide for it. Yes, so this is how the template looks like. 8 pages. The presentation so it's 2-column and something that I also ask you, there stands your name. And if you submit the paper, please write in your name. So in the last seminar, I think half of the people had written your name, and that should be not the case. So just write in. So it was not in the PG, but some other seminar, but that was quite funny. The presentation will be 25 minutes and 5 minutes of discussion. There will be also a PowerPoint template. Of course, if you have some other operating system, I cannot force you to buy PowerPoint. There will be also one for LaTeX and I think one for Keynote online. And yeah, as it was said, so what comes into the grading is in the seminar the paper quality. That means what you write and how you write it. How you do your review, especially how much effort you give to give feedback. So that means what a review should do is to help the author of the paper to improve it. And there you can put quite some effort, and that's basically graded. And how the presentation is. So how it looks like and how it's held. So that's what's considered. Yeah, now I come to the seminar topics. That's basically something that you should look carefully, because here I have 16 topics I will present, and out of these you will have to pick one. So I will put up a doodle for it. That's why they are all numbered, so they have all these numbers, and just attend and listen and watch carefully what you could like and would like, and later on in the doodle mark what you would like to have. So I start, basically this is the several elements that have open questions. So I start with the user domain, that's more the application, so non-technical side, graphic user interface, framework, security somehow everywhere, and the overlay. Yeah, and it's also basically a subset of the future work from the previous PG, so that you saw 1 hour ago. So we have something to do in the security, especially the overlay is vulnerable to attacks. NAT is a problem. So it's all basically what they said. It's also covered in the seminars, because basically these questions are open and they should be solved in the next PG, and the best opportunity to do so is to do the investigation in the seminar phase to see how it can be solved. Okay, starting with the seminar topics. So there are 2 topics basically. In the user domain, first of all, there's a new trend of social collaboration systems. That means that you use them in a company, and what should be done, and they support the collaboration. And this is just a subset of what kind of solutions they are, and what should be done in this seminar. Of course, these are just one sentence what is written here, but I also will provide you on the website with a longer description what the question is. This is just to give you an idea. So in this question is to give an overview on what kind of solutions they are, and especially what kind of features they provide. So in social networks, we know what kind of features they have. They have this friends list and groups and mailing and chat, but these collaboration tools are something more. So they also have, for example, a shared data space. They have a specific hierarchical user structure, and they are somehow different. And in this seminar, it should be listed basically what the requirements are from the features terms of view from social networks and the social collaboration systems. So there is more reading and categorizing the functions. That's the goal. What's also important, and not technically, is software licenses, and especially rights in operating a peer-to-peer based social network. That's also always an issue that was sometimes asked in the CeBIT. So if there's some illegal content in the network, who's responsible? And so this is the rights in operating a peer-to-peer based social network. That's that question. Or if you are part in this network and is some child pornography in it, and who is in charge to be so whose fault is it? Is it the software creator? Is it the one storing the data, although it's encrypted? Is it so? How's the legal aspect in that area? And also, of course, this peer-to-peer framework uses some software bundles like Eclipse and this and that, and they are using from one side Apache licenses, GPL licenses. It's a little bit mixed up, and that should be also checked which license such a social network should have, independence of what kind of software modules are already in use. So it's both are non-technically, but also important. Okay, coming to the more technically, but still not networking aspect, is that it was said that the graphical user interface is ugly, and nowadays HTML5 is really the way to go. And I don't have any knowledge about this, and so the first seminar should have a look at HTML5 opportunities with servlets. That was said that it's very useful in especially supporting this plugin structure. So servlet is basically a graphical user interface for a little module, and especially that we have in the social network. For example, a group plugin is a little module that requires a graphical user interface, and it should be researched how we can use HTML5, which kind of technology to visualize this social network. So what does it require? How is the opportunity to bind it to what you already have, and to see what is basically doable there. So that's not so scientific, but still requires lots of work and a good documentation, and that's why it's also fitting a seminar. Another aspect is this multimedia libraries. Like it was said in the previous PG, they tried a lot in supporting Java with audio and video streaming, had some problems, and it also is of the same amount of work like a seminar to really do the investigation, how it can be done, how multimedia can be implemented in Java, also what can be done. So not probably just audio and video, but also if there are some further opportunities that can be used. And this is also very time consuming and can also be handled in that kind of seminar aspect. Okay, now we are coming to the more networking related seminars, and the peer-to-peer framework. Basically, there we have 3 questions. Question number 1 is this distributed app store. I don't have a picture to it, so it's not related. I mean, everybody probably knows what an app store is. So you have this list of plugins or apps that are categorized, that you can search for. And once you like one app, then you click on install. No, first you click on more, then you read all what they want, what kind of information they want from you, and then you click on install. And something like this is also desired in this peer-to-peer context. So because it's all plugin based anyway, especially the social network. So like I said, the groups and the plugins, the login and the friends, it's all a small plugin, and there's also a tic-tac-toe game, for example, as a little plugin, and it fits very much that we can think of several users also writing their little plugins, and they want to contribute it to the community. And how can we manage an app store? So how to organize it, how to do the search on the apps, where to store it, and how can it be done distributedly. Another aspect, topic number 2, is basically an overview on BitTorrent and all of its modifications. Because the idea is currently we can only store data in the network. That makes sense for profiles or small pictures up to some 100 kilobytes. But if you have a movie or very large file, you do not want to store it in the network and replicate it 5 times, because if it's 700 megabytes, then you have 3.5 gigabytes somewhere in the network, and that's really, I mean, that one takes a lot, and it's not really, doesn't make too much sense. So the idea is that you should have the opportunity to put files, to make files available to your friends, but only when you are online. So BitTorrent especially is very efficient in having this file sharing and file transfers, but it requires that at least some of the users who are online make it available. So some of the users have to be online. And in this seminar, it should be discussed, and should be looked up how BitTorrent works and what kind of features and modifications it offers that can be used in the PG in the context of social networks. Topic number 3 in this framework is streaming and live streaming. So there's already one streaming implemented, but so the seminar should cover how this works, and especially how live streaming can be done. So live streaming is important in the case that, for example, if we want to use it in the university later on the social network, and we have a lecture and it should be streamed live to the audience. And the audience is 50 people, for example. So the current streaming doesn't cover it, and what kind of solutions in a peer-to-peer fashion are available that cover this live streaming. So there you could look up, and so this should be the picture, and this is the BitTorrent picture. Good. So are there some questions to these topics? Okay. Security has many aspects, because if we want to go online and really use it in practice, then we have to expect that there will be users who try to attack the network. So topic number 1 is to look on the current architecture of the peer-to-peer framework, and try to summarize what kind of possible attacks there are. So what kind of attacks there are on the storage layer, what kind of attacks there are in the messaging, so to identify where all the weaknesses are. This is topic number 1. Topic number 2, so we use FreePastry for routing, and this is roughly how FreePastry can be looked like. It's more code, okay, but what routing is about is, if you have a data somewhere here and you have a responsible node, then you start your request, and after some hops you reach the responsible node. For example, there some data is stored, and we might have some malicious node here who is dropping the message, and your routing request is never arriving. So if we have malicious nodes in the overlay, how can we address them? And this is FreePastry is the overlay that we use. There are several solutions that should be all gathered, and there should be a proposal what could be a good solution. The second one is the unsecure monitoring. So also, as it was said in the previous PG's presentation, so we have a monitoring tree on the overlay, and just how you can think of it, so all of the nodes transfer the statistics to the parent node, it aggregates it, creates the sums or the averages, and then it's sent up, and so you aggregate it with every level, and at the top you have the global view. And of course, if you have here or there some malicious nodes, they can change the data, and they can introduce some false information, and they can ruin the whole statistics. So the question is, how can you secure the aggregation process to counteract these malicious nodes? That's also an interesting question. Yeah, and mediated. Okay. And the last one is this mediated role-based security. So currently, all the data that is encrypted, for example, this access control on pictures, is implemented user-based. So if you upload a picture, you have the opportunity to say these users should have access to it. But what we would like to have is to have some roles, so role-based security, especially in the terms of this professional social networks where we have projects or companies or company fields. So it would be good also in a private sense. So if you would define the role of family member, and then you say, I do not necessarily give it user by user the rights, but I say all of the users who have the role family member or are in this project should have access. And this is a little bit different, and there should be looked up what kind of security solutions they are to support this role-based security. Okay, and the last big topic, many pictures. I will shortly explain what is what. So first of all, what is still critical in the overlay we use is the net traversal issues and solutions. So if you think of network address translation, so NAT, this is the small picture here, where we have node A and it's behind a firewall, or it has basically a router at home. It can contact any node outside, that's okay, but if somebody wants to contact him, the messages cannot reach node A because the network address translation cannot resolve to which internal node the request should be passed. So there are some solutions out there how this can be solved, but there's no solution implemented in FreePass3, and it should be looked up what is a good solution, how to approach it, what can be done. Also, what was said in the previous PG is the support for heterogeneity. That means currently the overlay is like this, so all the nodes are equal, they all have the same to do, and if you think of, we have some mobile nodes and also some servers and desktop nodes, they have different capacities and they are different lifetimes, and what we would like to have is to, for example, don't use the mobile phones at all because they are crappy or they don't have good bandwidth, so we don't want to use them in the overlay, and we want to use the servers that are probably also inside, so a long-running PC stronger. So it should be looked up what kind of best practices there are to support heterogeneity, super peer networks or whatever they are, to see what can be done. So to really have a fitting role to every capacity that a peer brings into the network. What also can be checked is best practices for data storage. So for example, replication is now solved like every document that is stored is replicated 5 times. There are also better solutions. So this is especially the picture for it. That means if you have, yeah, that was the super peer picture for here. Okay. And for this one, data storage, so if you have a replication count of 3, for example, and 2 of them fail, then the risk is higher. So 2/3 of them fail, then the risk that the last one fails is higher than if you would, for example, use erasure codes. That's some best practice, for example. And the erasure codes are that you split up the big data in 3 smaller types, so that you still have each type replicated. How do I say it? So you have, this was previously, and now you split it up in smaller parts, but you have more replications. So overall, you use up the same amount of storage in the network, but if 2/3 are failing, then you still have more copies of it. So here you only require 3 copies out of these 9 to get back to restore your data. So somehow it's better for the replication rate. You need less storage in the network. And also the question is there, what kind of good solutions came up in the meanwhile in peer-to-peer research that can be used. The last one for best practices is routing. So for example, I don't have a figure for that, but there are some overlays who, for example, use caches. There are some overlays who use some parallel lookups so that you do not only search once, but 3 times, for example. And that should be also gathered together, what kind of good approaches and improvements they are in the research that help in finding data faster and with less issues with attackers. Okay, and the last topic, and it's also very important because the documentation of the PG at the end should have some proof that it's working fine and how good it's working. So we need some proper testing and large-scale tests. So that means we need a seminar on it, how to do proper testing, how to set up large-scale tests so that we really get some useful results of. Okay, so these were the seminar topics. So here's the overview on the 16 topics, I think. 7? Yes, 16. So what we had is more this application related. So what social collaborations require, what is the portfolio that they have to provide, something about the software licenses and about the rights in operating, so who's responsible if something bad is happening in the network, if child pornography is shared. I hope that will not be the case. Then we have two topics on the graphical user interface. So first of all, how HTML5 can be used to visualize all these plugins for the social network. So basically HTML5 and Java interaction, how does this work? What kind of multimedia libraries we have in Java, for what they can be used. And the framework, how to create this app store, how to use BitTorrent and its modifications to share some data with friends, and how to do the streaming and live streaming. In the security, how can online social networks, especially the current one, be attacked? How to address routing attacks in FreePass3, that's the overlay that we use. How to address aggregation attacks, so if the statistics are maliciously changed in the monitoring, and how we can have role-based security. So if we have companies, project members, and this hierarchical structure, like for example in the university, we have all members of the university, only the computer science university, only our research group, then only the PG, and how can we assign security based on these roles. In the overlay, how to solve the net traversal issues. If we cannot reach some nodes, what can we do? How to support the different types of nodes in the network, mobile, desktop, or server nodes, so that they really have support fitting roles in the network. So for example, to not use mobile nodes and to use servers stronger. How can we do that? What kind of best practices are there in data storage that help us to have data more available with less replication? Also, for example, what comes into play, how can we do that data that is very prominent and very often requested is also hosted on very strong peers? In routing, how can this be done good so that it's quicker and less attackable? That should be checked. And last, how to do the proper testing and large-scale tests. So these are the 16 topics, and that should be addressed in the seminars, and for that solutions should be come up with. So this seminar topic, so it's just an overview. I will also put online on the website of this project group, which is available, of course, on the internet. I will put a document in which I describe every topic in more detail. So it's not just a sentence, but quite more. And also I give the starting documents. And for the next week, what you should do is to think about it, what you would like, and I will also send around a doodle where you could check what you would like to do. I think you will have 3 choices, and at the end I will assign it by a magic algorithm. So what I want now to talk about is how to approach it. So I think that's very general. It's not very PG related, but just how to read scientific papers. I think you should all know because you all did your bachelor thesis. And elements of good papers, or what should be inside, how to properly cite and reference. Important plagiarism, that's really something that I have to talk about. Then how to review and how to use EasyChair. And I think that will be it for today. Okay. Do you have some questions up to now? Yes, but but the users are. So I mean, also in Skype, typically the resources of the users are used, and the 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 previous asterisk and how's it called, these IP phone companies, they were not happy with Skype coming to the market, but at the end Skype was bought for I think $2.8 billion just because they had the users and they didn't have advertisement, and it was quite, so there's some potential. Okay, yeah, I will quickly go about this because that you should know. This is more important, how to use it and what to look for. Yes. I don't know what I want to say with this figure. Okay. I don't know. Good sources. Okay, that's something also when I approach it. So what? I don't know. So I prefer Google Scholar. This is some overview from some other talk that I copied in. So if you are looking for something, that's something that can be used. That's good. And these two are the big institutes worldwide in the computer science that have some renommee. There are also some other institutes like INRIA, for example, or some other, but they typically accept everything. So if you have one ACM or IEEE conference paper, that should be good. They have been reviewed well. If you have some probably unknown source, that might be some strange content. Okay, reading scientific papers, that's something just how you can save time, because what you typically have in this seminar is that you have this question and you're looking for solutions. And you should typically not read one paper from the beginning to the end and think whether it was good, but you should jump across the paper and quickly look how they solved it, basically. So to grasp the content, pick it, understand it quickly, and look for the other parts of the paper later on. Because typically the papers have all the same structure. Abstract, introduction, and the structure are always basically the same. They all want to solve similar problems, so motivation, typically you can skip. Related work is sometimes interesting, but if you want to really see how things are solved, then you should jump to the interesting parts and not read it from the beginning to the end. So what is relevant, what you should look for if you look for solutions for your specific question, if it's a scientific question, is first of all really problem statement. What do they solve? What is their problem they want to address? Is it something that is similar what you are looking for? If it's not, then you can jump to the next paper most of the time. If it's fitting, then you should look for the requirements for a solution. So typically in science they say, we have this big problem we want to solve, but we assume that all of the nodes are good and they are all of the same quality and they are all in a small network. So if the problem might be good and fitting, but the requirements might be so different to ours because we have malicious nodes, we have different quality of the nodes, and so you really have to see, do they fit, do the requirements fit, or is the solution so tightly bound to the requirement that it cannot be used in some other area. So that might be the problem. Okay, so let's say the problem fits and also the requirements seem to be okay, then you should jump to the solution. Okay, how does it work? So what does it really do? And is it probably some variant? So is it redundant to something that you know, or is it really a new approach for it? And what's also important to check then whether it has been evaluated. So is it just an idea of them that they just wrote down and they think, okay, it might be okay, but they didn't test, or did they really test it? And if they tested, what did they test? So what kind of questions did they answer? typically what is also done, and what you should be careful of, is that they say, our solution is the best. In this scenario, we have an improvement of that amount of 50%. But what they don't say is what the drawback is. So that you should also think of, so rarely a solution is better and cheaper than the previous one, or better in any aspect. So typically, in some aspects it's better, and in some other aspects it's worse. And you should know in which aspect it's worse, because it might be something that you still have a higher priority on. Okay, and if you if you check related work, that's probably more if you write it. It's better, and also if you read it, it's better if it gives a big picture on solution categories. So it says there's this type of category with solution A, B, C, which follow this approach, and there's solution approach B with this and this solutions. So it shouldn't discuss some bad related approaches and say that's why our solution is good, but it should give a big picture on generally how it can be solved, because there you can also profit off. If you yourself review a paper or judge the paper, then you should somehow look on whether, of course, what did they solve? Is the solution good? And did they really show that their solution is good? And is it a real problem? So sometimes, typically in this scientific field, especially in peer-to-peer, is that they have some solution, but they don't have a real problem or not a real use case where they can. So sometimes their problem is not existing, so that you should check. Yes, and of course the evaluation should also show the drawbacks, because that's very critical. Users and authors try to hide their drawbacks, but that should be also known. I think the rest is not really fitting for us. This is a very full slide, these two, but I just want to show them still for you, because it's addressing your own seminar paper. The first submission should contain the structure. And what the structure can contain is listed on these two slides. I'm not sure whether I should go into detail. Just you should be aware, so it will be online anyway, and you should be aware of which kind of elements you could put in your paper, and in order to discuss. So for example, if you have this seminar topic with the social collaboration tools, then a literature survey would be good to give a background information, what kind of solutions are there further on, or how it's implemented, what kind of what they use and what can be used fast. I think otherwise it's so it will be relevant if you write your own structure, but now probably it's too detailed. But what is also relevant in how you write it and how you present it. So what I always see sometimes, and this is really some issue that should be avoided, because it's really putting the quality of your paper down, is please do a spell check. There are programs for it. Not only you can read it, also programs can read it, and they know more words. And programs should do it, and also somebody else should do it. And especially this one, it's useful if somebody from some other origin is reading it, because Germans have their type of speech, and they try to translate it in English. And I know it from, I had some Serbian colleague, and they didn't have articles in their language, and that's why they also didn't have articles in English. And that's why it was always good to have somebody from some other region reading it, because then you can eliminate also this regional aspect in the language that's not English. Also with figures, use only scalable vector graphics, because so don't use bitmap pictures like PNG or JPEG or so. Use PDFs or enhanced PostScript, so EPS, because they're infinitely zoomable, except of course screenshots, but they are rare. And with colors, be careful, because all the papers are typically printed black and white, and if you have such a picture and you print it black and white, then it might look like this. and that's not very helpful. So always think when writing the paper it will be black and white later on. Correct citation, that's also something that's always occurring. So first of all, I will put a template online that will also define how the citations will look like. Basically, you have the first name, the dot, and name, and it's all structured. It's also read this document, how it should be used and what is important for citation, because this is the second part beside the spell check where people typically look at, and that easily puts the quality of your paper down. Because of the consistency. So consistency is very important basically at the end, and consistency means that every reference should have the same form like any other. So it should be so you should apply the same form to every reference. So to give you a bad example, so here for example, what do I want to say? So no numbering in conference. So here for example, what's written here, journal. So if you abbreviate, you should abbreviate consistently. So here journal, then it's abbreviated, then it's a J point, or you have names sometimes normally written, sometimes with big letters. Then you should avoid numbering of conferences. So here it's first off ICDCS International Workshop, sometimes it's missing. Or what is also here, Infocom is written 3 times wrong, 3 times differently. The International Conference on Pervasive Computing and Communication, Infocom and Infocom. So if it looks different in the structure, then it also leads to the impression that your paper is written like it. So the consistency into references is for that very important. That means no numbering, order of information should be the same. Either you give the year or you don't give it. Either you write out the conference titles or not. So it should be the same for all. So that's important. I also recommend to not have page numbers because you don't have it for all. So here, for example, here's the page number. Here it is not. Places, so where it took place, the conference, that should be also skipped. So here, for example, in Massachusetts, here it's not given. So in this document, it's all written what you should take care of, because it really gives a much better impression if you have it consistently at the end. Like this, for example, here. It's all the same, and just as an example. Okay. Ah yeah, extremely important. This is really extremely important. That's why it's written very big. So I just want to give you an example. So in the last project group, we had 10 participants in the beginning, and 5 failed in the seminar failed due to plagiarism. And in the last peer-to-peer seminar, I had 28 participants, and 7 failed due to plagiarism. That means after the seminar phase, it was done, and the grade was 5.0, and the whole work, if you can call it like this, was wasted, both for the students and also for me, because it's lots of work to detect it. So there's a simple rule, and that's why you should so if there's plagiarism detected, it leads to failing. So that's why, so this is very fixed, so you should be very sure what plagiarism is. And there's also, so this is sometimes, so this is really an issue to be aware of. And that's also sometimes depending on where you have previously done some research work, or where you have done your studies basically on. Typically, if you did it in Paderborn from the beginning, and also your school, then they tell you what it is. If you're not having had contact previously to it, then it might be surprising so you really have to see what plagiarism is, and that's why I also have several slides for it, that you don't step into this trap. Okay, so what is plagiarism? So plagiarism is if you find some clever solution on the internet and you think, oh, that's very good text, I copy it and paste it in my own seminar because it's well written and it describes what I want to say. That's not what you should do. So it's not allowed. So you shouldn't use text of somebody else. You should also not, because the next step by people who try to avoid it is to summarize sentence by sentence. So they find some clever text. Oh, that's a good text. It fits to my solution. I want to use it, but I don't want to copy paste it. So I go through the text sentence by sentence and rewrite it a bit. And then I go to the next sentence, rewrite it a bit. So if you follow the same line of arguments like the source document, that's also that's also plagiarism, because that's not your own idea, that's not your own structure of arguments. It's basically of somebody else. Somebody else thought of it, made lots of work, and you just basically reuse it. Also, what should not be done is reusing figures without noting the source. So if you find somewhere some good figure displaying what presents your statement, don't copy it and leave it without note. What can be done is to take the picture and say, I took it from this and that source. That's okay. For the text, it's typically not good, but still better. And what should not be done is, summarizingly taking ideas and present as your own, and don't say that you have it from somewhere else. What I also do is I know how to detect it, so it's expertise is there, and I also use tools like Docolog. That's some website that I can upload the paper to, and it cleverly searches the internet and finds matching text elements and tells me, okay, there's a match with 30% of that document. Then I can look it up. It's really doing the search, making the search easier. High detection chance, that's what I say. Yes, what's not plagiarism is if you reference the source of the ideas. So if you find some clever text that describes the solution, and what I would like to ask you to not copy it and say, I took it from there, because that's also, that's then not plagiarism, but then it's not much of contribution of your own. So what you should do is, if you find some clever text somewhere else, summarize and present it with your own words and own pictures. That's the best. So read the material that's fitting, close all sources, think about it, how would I present it, describe it with your own text, your own structure, think of your own arguments, how to set it up. Of course the arguments will be the same somehow, but it's really differing from person to person how you describe it. So even if you describe the same protocol with somebody else, it's a different storyline that you use typically, and different approach for it and different words. So describe it with your own words without looking at the sources, own structure, own sentences, words and figures. That's what's best to do. And some examples. So this is, for example, from some of the last seminar, and I read the paper and I was thinking, the red parts I know somewhere, because it was describing how pastry works, and I looked it up in the pastry document, and the red ones are copy-pasted basically from the paper, and the green ones that were somewhere here hidden, they are rephrased. So that's really identifiable when it's not your text but somebody else, because you yourself have a different vocabulary, different language, and it's really easy to detect when the tone changes. So don't take text from somebody else. This is some other example where they didn't use the same text but the same line of arguments. So for example, that was the text of somebody else, also from the seminar, and he was describing, I don't know what he was describing, but if you read the sentence, so this is the original basically, and this is the seminar description. And it's original for routing purposes. Each descriptor header consists of all of the following fields, and the copy for every routing function, each descriptor consists of the following field. So it's, and this is really sentence by sentence compared to really see where the source is from, and that's really following the same lines of arguments. And this is not copy paste, but it's really also plagiarism, because it's using the same, that's the same just with other words, if you understand. So best is really to gather all the material, describe it best if you read the paper, that fits, describe it with your own words on some sheet of paper, how it works, and later on to summarize it from that, so that you really do not get into the position that you reuse other text or you rephrase other text. And best is all if you do it yourself and you think a lot about it, how it can be done. That also what's the PG benefits most out of it. And I'm sure, so with that long description, we won't have any plagiarism case in this time. Probably the last time it was not so clear with so many examples, but the rule was still clear. So I hope everybody sticks to it and really writes it with his own text and with his own ideas. And although it's probably not so well written like the original paper describing it, but it's your own work and that's what's important. Okay, I think a few slides on the review just to finish it up. Yeah, and then I also finished with the overview on the organization. So the review will also take place at the end of the seminar. And just a few words. What is reviewing? What is the idea? So you publish your papers, and I will assign you 3 other papers to review. And what you should do is to read it and to not just to criticize, but to improve it in a structured way. So you should suggest the authors how to improve it, what they did wrong, what is good, what is wrong, how you would do it to make it better. So you have the same qualification as the intended readership, so that's why it's a peer review. And the reviews are passed back to the authors. Of course, they get feedback, and they should use this feedback to improve their work. The reviews are anonymously, so the authors will not know who wrote their who wrote the reviews, so they can't blame you, and there will be no problem afterwards. And that's sometimes reviewer doesn't know author's name, but in this case it's not really that anonymous because you might know who has the topic. Okay, and there will be several reviewers, I think three per paper, to ensure fair treatment, so that if one review is bad, still you have 2 good feedback, 2 good reviews, and you can improve your work, and you see how others see your text. Why do we have reviewing in research at all? That's just because the conferences do not want to accept everything that's submitted. So this is some snapshot from some website who tells which conferences has which acceptance rate. So here, for example, IEEE peer-to-peer acceptance rate of 29% or 20% in 2006. So 80% of the papers, so all of them are reviewed, and only the best 20 or 30% are accepted. So that's why it's a filter mechanism to see what's worth to be read and presented on a conference. In our case, it's to give feedback. So nobody of you will be rejected, and so the acceptance rate will be hopefully 100%. Okay, I only will talk about these roles because they will come to play in the EasyChain program. So you will be an author, but you will be also a program committee member. And the program committee members, these are the reviewers. So that means the program committee is basically the group that decides on what will be accepted. Yeah, you submit it, you get some reviews assigned. Previously, you have to bid for it. So once you submit your structure, basically the titles are known, and I can ask you which of the titles would you like to review. And then you can say, I would like to review this. So I'm happy to review this 5 or 6 or whatever. And then there will be a good match so that you still get your in best case, 3 of your wishes to review because you are interested in it. Okay, then you submit your review reports. Deadlines are fixed. After that, the reviews are released to the author. There will be no rejection. And you can, the final version will be submitted after that. Okay, I think you have a few slides, so 2 or 3. So what you will also have in the review is there's already a review form. So there's a clear structure how the review should look like, so what it should contain. It's not multiple choice, it's more free text questions, and they are important in the seminar, of course. It will be anonymous, and what you should put into the review, I will also show what how this review form will look like, is you should first summarize what is in the, I will just jump to it, and it's probably better. So this is the review form, very long, but per paper that should be written. So first of all, what is it about? Describe it in a few sentences. Then is it well enough explained, so technically deep enough? So is it really so well written that you can also learn something from technical point of view? Then something about the language, about how well it is written, how well the figures are, how whether it's redundant, whether it's about the language basically. Here some comments to all chapters, whether they were written, did they all contain what is needed. So all chapters should be commented. Something about the figures and how it looks like, references, how to further improve the paper, and everything what you else want to say. And the reason is to improve the paper so that everybody can easier read it and learn from it, because it will be all made available for everybody, and that requires that it's well written. What's also the purpose is to train the abilities to criticize other people's work and accept and reflect other people's opinions. So also how you give feedback and how you consider it. So how you take the feedback and then translate it in some improvements of your paper. And what the grading aspect relates to is basically how well you give the feedback, how well you put effort to help other people to improve their paper. Yeah. And it, of course, makes you a better person by enabling you to detect weak and strong characteristics of the paper and to see what can be done good and what can be done bad. Okay, how to do it? So you should be, of course, polite and fair. So you should not be too harsh. You shouldn't say it sucked the will to live out of me. It's the most terrible writing style. So you should be also detailed. That's important. So you should really take time and read it and give valuable feedback. So you should not just say, it's all okay, click, dot. You should check also for good and bad parts. Of course, be constructive. How can it be improved? Be specific, so not just say, there were some spelling mistakes, but it's expected that you say, this is the list of spelling mistakes I found, this is the list of changes that I would do. So to really give detailed information. I'm not sure what there was standing. Okay, so here you should say, how you would improve it, what you were expecting and what you found and what that means, or how it should be improved. That's, I think, just the short summary how you should react to it. Of course, you should be happy to get feedback. It's an opportunity to improve your work, and it's not some stupid reviewer who doesn't understand you, but it's a different perspective on your text, and you should think of, if he didn't understand it, he's not stupid, the reviewer. You should write it in a way that a further broader range of people can understand it. So you should rewrite it. So there's not really harsh, wrong, or unfounded criticism. So you should consider it all as some good, valuable feedback. Okay, I think for the tools, I won't go too much into detail. That's just what could be used. I mean, you all wrote your bachelor thesis, but LaTeX is required. And okay, some more minutes for EasyChair, how it looks like. So this is the conference link that you can later join. And what is available there? I think that's probably, I still tell it. Okay, so what is, I was just thinking whether I should show you the demo, but basically, if you go on that link, and I will register you with your university email addresses that are in Paul, then what you can do is you can submit a paper. The first paper that you submit will be basically your structure. Then we can bid for the paper, so I can assign, so you can vote for which papers you would like to review. Then later on you can submit your real paper. You will receive review invitations and submit the reviews. For all of these steps, I found it's a little bit complicated to do so, there will be also an email before, so there's a little bit time for it. Here it stands, you should register in Paul with your email addresses as in Paul. I think I also can add you automatically, so I will try. And you will have a different, that's something to ignore, but you will have an author role and a reviewer role, between which you can change. The deadlines again, I think they were shown already. So the next step will be basically meeting in 1 week for the first lecture. I jump over this, I'm not sure. So I don't want to go into detail, it takes anyway, that will be the first step, and there will be an email for that so anyway, how to use it. So if you have some question how to with regard to the PG or the seminar or any aspect, feel free to ask. I'm happily answering you. And just for the next steps, I will put the seminar topics online so that you can have a look on them also during the weekend, so that you can decide. I will also put a doodle online so that you can check your 3 favorite topics, so that you have a matching on Tuesday. And that's the next steps. So do you have any questions? No questions, okay. So no questions. Okay, good. So then we will meet next week, also in this room, same time. And I hope that the recording was successful